Today we'll use this period of time to have a teaching about how to become a Buddhist. And before the actual teaching, I would like to make a short announcement, which is, first of all, we don't have class tomorrow, and tomorrow would be the wheel turning day of Shakyamuni Buddha. So for those of you who have the opportunity, I really hope that you take this opportunity to practice, to chant the Samatha Bhadra's good aspiration of good action all together, all day long, if you have such opportunity. And I know many of you probably don't have much to do. And tomorrow would be Sunday. Lots of you are off. It's a holiday. And tomorrow is a wonderful day to practice good actions. And according to color chakra calendar as well as the Tibetan calendar, it is said that it's a wonderful and a very auspicious day. According to Phuntsog Rinpoche, he said that on this specific day, it is best to then genuinely make aspiration. For people who are here to practice, I really think that it is quite important to practice diligently, to participate in the 4 sessions of practice. And for those of you who are not here, you can practice through online methods. And I really hope that you really then seize such opportunity and practice tomorrow. Because some of the special days, if you make aspirations and so on, the blessings are even much more stronger. Therefore, it is best to spend such time to practice. Next Tuesday and Monday and Tuesday, I'm going to give you the oral transmission and teaching on the 7 points of mind training. I'm not entirely sure about what I'm going to teach on Wednesday and Thursday yet, but I know that I will give you the teaching on Padmasambhava, and I will give you a teaching on the practice of Padmasambhava. Today, I don't think that we have no air conditioning, and it's rather quite warm over here. It's really good to sit a little bit sparse. And at the beginning, I'll give you the oral transmission of the Nongzhou practice of Nyingma, which is composed by Mipo Rinpoche, the illuminating the path of liberation. It is best to receive as many oral transmissions as possible, especially when the teaching coming from Mipo Rinpoche, his Vajra words, his indestructible words. I was then reading into the teachings of Phuntsog Rinpoche earlier, and he said that the blessings of Mipo Rinpoche is incredibly the blessing of that is incredibly strong, and that's why I want to give you this oral transmission, as well as the 37 practices of Bodhisattva. I think I've given the oral transmission before, but taking this opportunity, I will still give you this oral transmission again, probably just 10 minutes, and just listen closely. I'm not entirely sure how long, but roughly. I'll give you the Tibetan. I'll give you the oral transmission in Tibetan language. Just listen You may read if you want to, if you feel that this 10 minutes is extremely long. But the most important is that you should then really abide in that sound. Do not doze off or anything. The requirements for listening to our transmission is not that high. As long as you're listening to it, it's good enough. So now this is our transmission.
담주 돈 시브르 신지로 물강 땅보 디제 담짓 머떡로 전 노제 강라 삼전 지비진 처왕의 장남지 재미지 동지 샘지랑 고코네서 명강동네 바닥 정라 꿈적근 디라메 머떡 제와 점버 신지로 물강 니바고 카노렘제 나면 쳇마자 dim제로 아메 빌람들 콘담냥 데비 추즈나 랑션 랑라름 브링이나요 서전 머니지 또 서전 지데 머니 바닥 꿈적근 디라메 드지도 강도론 오게도 지브르 신지 아무튼 선바고 조바 카비등을 만당 데르나 일린 결화전 접지 폼폼 다도 등을 강슴 고라메 이곰자와 때르면 시적던 덕적라 꿈족건 디블라메 드제등 임종 선바티 어르신지로 무강 제바고 데네 탐만 혼주 잡선조와 남던 도고선 전지 야르가니 위스 이슬라마도르지 어르진좀 비빌라마에 좀 강주 거름 던더 톰족 뒤숨 산제나마 예스냐 전도 도전 바바조 야도선로 라무 남바장 용던 조지 냐노 겐던담 다고리 시 주종 조금데 조지 뒤숨 자베 담지가 마자메 바터 콘타르자뱀던 랑당 마속도 지짐 가지고 셈쟁근지 돈데 틴데네 zonja 준년 보리 짐족도 남기요네 남가 강화 라마야돔 간로 존음도 선지제 넘바바 간라다당 조르기 베자즘제 전메지 울로장네 셈전 담접대와서 제르바서지 호디오섬 호지르디오섬 겨라지지 잔종노 뒤진데 바다 도장 가지고 조금 자리줄라면 조조장도 셈기도 넘밤레비지서 ng지 셈기들노 도dom다 유sem전어이네 손제엠발라 엠브지비 도녀도 정도 셈기도 만주송고 나 우마오 좀냠니 줄기정 라나만 강롱기링이 좀 가져 줄기정 고바 남건섬 그쯤 건섬대 좀 저비런도 몸자 라나만자람 반자마가 사마자 사바라나마 도르셈나 아 돈이셔스단 어단도 화든 도르지 생활다면도 도르지 전전님아 연도 연롱 기질 좀 도르지 특거를 따르던 홍라이 기고를 도르지 두저도 버려 도지 상을 돈베 아무제지잖아요 만들 사도 사면만 바라 만들 사도 디노바디라로메바 수도 가요메바 나로도메바 수보 가요메바 소라서도 맘자서 소라커면 사메저로 하 반소로도 너거들 남들 맘자 반드로 바 마사메사도 암고모 돈놈 메실 몸바이 담들하는 가자님 라몬 공부겸도 적소 도진 좀 바테 되지도 로소랍더 겸집도 동sem전담 지금론 되지자와 양로가 담든 냠자 담자 돌로 식소르드 종일동 점에 도담집 장장 도범 자도 소르지 소라다 벼도지선 외자네리 기회 교기 담든 냠자 담자 도바야노지 하나 제네랄라 템베 랑동sem전담 라마 두르지선 오는 겨르산라 반들사동 교한데 임녀도 오도르지선 완접지는 조악지 장말리바테 이살랑고 브르조도 sem전담 지지 담든 냠자 건도는 샹주냥보르 담든 딱버러 쇼 지소 모노다보 사블라미 남저노 마 오라나 다바람 전쟁 그저랑 력도진 남저마저 교제되냐 노동도 장내 근디 오르냐도진 작가마진도 오도르제 도움노 기제도 도르니 임던을 그건 걸라랑 정지되 정도 스타트 라만 칸로 담짐제 터키 공시아 진지 베르가 고노네 텐지 이지바 차트바 babkum 비스텐 라탐 홍르제 제네 존도 바마기서 돈 몰라요 좀 적응을 밤만 종리 지스랑 거동 가로 먹을 계지지도 도를 주신지를 잡지정 걸어 밤만 서도 어르게 전에 정도 밤마기서 돈 벌어 양선 적응을 밤만 종리 지스랑 거동 가로 먹을 계지지도 도를 주신지를 잡지정 걸어 밤만 서도 어르게 전에 좀 밤마기서 돈 벌어 양선 적응을 하니 밤만 종리 지스랑 거동 가로 먹을 계지지도 도를 주신지를 잡지정 걸어 밤만 서도 지스도 소인데 후든 남습 견정으로 때문에 양로든 바 order ni lider gibi jamdır lo nangzı jüzden gamzam çöpüm jada deramneza Redukton Jimji Shagan, Kona Gezo Ganla, Jian, Rokum Jodo, Jirkusin, Zaki, Kolo, Kordo, Gezo Mali, Sanji, Toshir, Zoradabano, no Jordango, Pujan, Deskuto. Tijira Tenzan, London, Roton, Rinzum, Kandrom, Bukurti, Bamjoni, Lazola, Sorando, or Bamjoni, Lazoran. Dala Wanker, Shinji, Labda, Sora, Jimo, Don Shikabel, Sora, the big was the Jinji, Show, and a Wanker, Shinji, Labrazana. Organ da yedam kanro yer maybe lamir namjur la khoim donar tamj so zora davla devjin shenji sheta devjin tar wan jelen ban damyon nasam yekem jasam le gozar kanum dangsun jone sarang gonesum temi shinji lariam laman kurji godjon sambe lamne nyug tigleptan lami tigdan so yer me samnyani ma jurgin druba jeta wanji Lamjim Jonjan Kujum Wungir, Shinlo Wanker Tobro Samla, Oma Bazar Gurba Mazardomo, Gurba Mazardon, Tiak and the Yondalamandum, Chuji Halla Lonjan, Sadan Lamji on the Rabdon, Dorjan Changokum, Yerto, Show, Jesus Mono Dabrosha, Mundring on the Lama Maba, Donna, Mabam Jahora, Gibi, Deba, Galam, Pera Manga, Lam.
That was the path, the illuminated path to liberation, and now this is the oral transmission of 37 practices of Bodhisattva. I've given this before, but this time I'm giving it again because the 37 practices of Bodhisattva is a crucial text to read every day and practice every day. The content of this particular text is quite important for all of us to practice. For those of you who may think that 37 practices are a little too much still, but then at least you can practice 5 or 6. There are people who have great faith. And there are people who are quite artistic and very feely touchy, but they don't have lots of the analytical thinking or the other way around. But as Buddhists, we need to have both aspects. We need to have faith and we need to have analytical logic, and that's how we can tread on the path of Buddhism. And if we can read and chant and practice the 37 practices of Bodhisattva, then it would be really helpful towards your path. Also, I think this is included in your chanting books, as this is quite a popular text. For lots of you who are beginners, maybe you don't really know the content of it or some of the verses at the beginning. This oral transmission is the oral transmission that you should receive as many as possible, so that you can give rise to bodhicitta.
They level in the regla, they Shila Rele, Yatinam Gilan Shabrasha, and just in the dozen good. So live Jarchi Jiran and Zano Yarami Banana, some Gumerjatil, and Yin Jolan, Jola Jetaman, London Jibum, the Pyropon, Jetil. Yeringen Pami, Num Rumjin, Nami, Giving and Gumbat, Chilang is when but the Merjatil around Robin, that is also number, Midriban or the Jitan, Legion Drunk, and Najim Drumbin, and the Lord on Jatil, Conadona to some Bunjers, to Gumija and Yamja. Shandar Nature Virginia Drunk, more Jatil, and Yen, Gajing Bajon. Gajin and Bazanji on the Yarmur Latter Major Virgin and Dumber and Gully, young number Jatil, round Kurunz and by Injitan Lais is given. Teacher can have Jamnam, Kumsum to Jatil, Sanders of Gudungun was an old Belgian driver to be on the Flower and to be now Mr. Jatil. To some devices, some chicken, Chujiran, Major Daru Kumbas, Dondaniera, Jatil, and Tomatin and Dollar. Marnum, Digna, Doctor Education, Thai, Simpson, Prejudice, and Mali, Doctor Jameson, Taser, Doctor Janji, Tingur, the Yonder, Jetty, Lowland, Yen, the Condojan, Gotokan, Tanjukum, Jina, Lilon should give it. Telam, Jetty, Lowland, Dolaniba Jones, Mason, the Kandokan, Chushit Nayan, Yajan, Gati, Duban, Dolan, Jetty, Lowland. Gaji Dala Marina Zoba Tonton Jabro Jena, Jamazin Lan, on the Joba Jetelon and Roman Dispo, Wisan Gizi, Sanim Jijan Single Mana, Dela gave Ship and DG, Kibran the Jetelon, the Bojan Siberjan, the London Jena, Najiba Dam, Helper Sir Jetelon, Random Yamba, Mambertio, and Arjarongo to Jena, Lama, the Kibetoni, Shuval and Berjet, so a Ponshan start the main, it's such a Natan Dunji. Tabjan Lara and Rokan to the Lanch and Janjamami Jetelon, Number Job and Namdo and Nondo, just to be one. Kamba me Berjet alone and Gazetan Java Matter and General Jam, Shamda, Nyanjim by Ranji. The Rajetelon and Yen, Ranji the Rajetelon, Yondo on the Lancetan, Jason Jabamber, and Kalajis, Bono, Talapon Jetelon, and certain no, the Torang and Samuel Tony to them that Tinishin, Zuntamana, Yulamashi Jetelon, Yeton Jabana, Edgy. Zipperno, Timberman, of more Jetelon, doing her now, Manchester and Toronto, the German Champion, Toronto. Shantin the Billy and Tonkona Jerome Bonal, much on good London, none, Jimbaton, Jetin, certain Dobe, around the Madame and the Japan, the Mame, certain George Jetelon, gave a notion of Jetti, no Jam the Jergonization of Badon, Gola measure Lord Zonda and Rogodondo, and Johnny Jetelon, and New number of chance to Michelin to the best and look at Jetelon, Jeremy Power, General Dobasan, Taptan Dungeon, Cortomato, Jetela, Rangatura, Chuba Zuki, Jomajan, the bed of Jirgin, the Rangatura, Tony Moore, Jetela, and you won't get the Janda, Nibalan, and Donia, Tobacella Zipin, Council Caniba, Jetelon, and Niponga, Panzam, Dojan to Tungumisha, and Yam Jerusalem. Jam the Jikim of Janda, Jamna, Jamba, Jetelon, and the Mosaic Johnson to Jerusalem, Jerusalem, Yam Jerusalem, the more to support Jetanamogum, a nimble look at it, a nimble zone, Johnson, Motoma, Johnson, Motomatima, Jetelon, and Donakan, Rangas and John, Regent the Tranda, Sijan, done by us and the Jetelon, there's some and Tain Road. Course number of Jerusalem, Jetelon, and Tom Jurnam, but Tombanam, Gibson, Jetelon, and some. Jetelon, Lom to Tono, go to Mansion, Jean, Kibati Division, Marsham, Don, Tambison, Jetelon, and Tremel, when the Jetuba Latin of Law, and Dante, Tampo, Cavish, younger than Mandra, last one, you better Tambanam, Super television, giving Roak and Tondom Consultation to Central Fortuna, sharing some content on Jean Bergeau, Jiba, Orange, and Pambi. Tunda, London, Rigbarma, Zambato, making a children, and Jarva, some John Bojan, Martiban, the Kansas, Mama, on Corner, the marriage. On the Tiva, Damchetan, Turion, no version of Timat on the Chudam treasure. Sir Jimat on the Chudam treasure, Dularo, Berjote, on Madame Jan and Zamachula, Jabaju, Don and Yambo, don't do this in the Tribune. But the major of the Jando, Dollar, may buy Lajando, show him by Tamchish, Jizon, Tober, show, Karmara, Marmet, German, Dimas, Normal, down Trenta. Division, Theatre, Chunam Tamchish, Division, Shopping. Jelan Bakan about Gajon Chimbon, Durkazon, the Bajam, Majan, Gavapazum, Soba, Rangasem, Neons, and Donasan, Tambayan, Jerumbochel, also running Gartin, the new Sambanjabadam, Chodon to Mongo to Sur. Oh,
Originally, I was going to give you only 40 minutes of teaching, but unexpectedly, I've already spent 25 minutes in giving you the oral transmission and a very short teaching in between, an explanation in between. I believe many of you have already chanted for the entire day. You probably feel already quite tired, therefore I'm not going to spend lots of time talking. But this is quite a rare opportunity, very difficult to gain. Therefore, it is quite important to cherish this opportunity, especially when we have the opportunity to be here to practice, to have this opportunity to be here. So I thought it would be wonderful to give you a teaching on this day. And today the topic is how to become a Buddhist. I think majority of you feel that I'm already a Buddhist. I've been a Buddhist for a long time. What's the point of listening to this class? And there are people who feel that I'm already a Buddhist, but I'm still studying. I need more study. The practitioners in our audience, as well as all of our audience, I believe a majority of you have already made an auspicious connection to the Dharma, which is difficult to encounter for thousands of eons. Therefore, it is quite important to cherish, to protect such kind of connection. In our limited lifetime, maybe there are many kinds of gains, but out of all the gains, studying the Dharma and making connection to the Dharma is the most valuable. When we depart from this world, the only thing that could benefit us, the only thing that follows us is our mind. We cannot take our body, we cannot take our wealth, we cannot take our fame with us. So it's only the mind that will go with us. We came to this world naked. We're going to leave this world naked. We cannot bring any of our clothing or any of our wealth, not even a dime. At the end, we'll just depart from this world naked. In Larungar, we have eternal ground, and if you want to die and celebrate your death and have such a ceremony, I know that lots of tourists would go there and take photos only. According to Shantideva, he said, through the body, through giving the body, offering your body to the vultures, through watching it and seeing it, you know that that's it. Doesn't matter if you're rich or poor, at the end, it's all in equanimity. In the charnel ground, if you want to be buried over there through such a method, then you can offer 20 RMB, and later it raised to 50, and now it's 80 RMB. So it doesn't matter if you're rich or poor, all you need to offer at the end is 80 RMB to get your sky burial. There are people who then came with lots of cars and sent the body to charnel ground, but then that's it. After attending such a sky burial, the living ones will depart with the dead ones over there. Similarly, in mainland China, if you want to get a cremation, then all you need to do is to pay the cremation place the same amount, the set amount, and that's it. Doesn't matter if you're rich or poor, there's no difference in it. And then, at that time, the only refuge, when you depart from this world, the only refuge, the only thing that could protect you are the three jewels. I genuinely feel this way. In my opinion, I see that in life, you may have wealth, you may have fame, you may have great relationships, but at the end, what's the most important is virtuous deeds. And that's the most worthy ones at the end of your life. So the first thing I would like to say is that what we really need at the end of our life, what's the most important thing that we carry in our life till the end. Nowadays, people have lots of misunderstandings about Buddhism. Some people feel that, well, I'm already a Buddhist, or I'm already a monastic. And then after that, that's it. There's no more pursuit. Everyone would say that, oh, I'm Buddhist. And there are people who said that I'm very Buddhist-like. They carry a kind of attitude of whatever it is, it is. In fact, if you're a genuine Buddhist, the true spirit of Buddhism is completely different. Let it be Hinayana, or let it be Shravaka, or let it be the Mahayana practitioners. In fact, they're all very diligent. The mundane beings, maybe they get really lazy and they get rather quite relaxed most of the time. They enjoy that kind of relaxation. But Buddhists, the genuine Buddhists, they pursue for high level of attainment or high level of spiritual pursuit. The kind of practitioner that I described, who call them Buddhist-like, in fact, when they take such kind of mentality of saying whatever will be attitude, it is in Buddhism called as the shameful ones. And people call themselves in such a way because they don't understand what Buddhism is. The value system in Buddhism is very different than majority of people take it. What's the most important, what's the core of a Buddhism value? That is taking refuge in three rules. Nowadays, the pervading mentality is anxiety and avoidness, a sense of confusion and lack of security. There's no place for them to rely upon. And when they feel that there's no place to rely upon, let it be the family, parents, or relatives, usually what we do is that we place great hope on them. And then later on, such kind of great hope would become the cause of great disappointment. And then at that moment, they would feel extremely despair and feel saddened. And then they would then adapt really unreasonable actions. There are nowadays people who have this fragile heart, fragile mind that is not strong at all. Whatever small obstacles arise, then they will be completely beaten up and their heart will be shattered. Nowadays, in this materialistic world, it's very utilitarian, very material-focused world. If people get really despair about this reality, then they may adapt really unreasonable actions such as suicide. A little while ago, there was a student, I think a PhD student, who after produced the essay, the research essay, the professor then wanted to publish it, but the student at the last minute figured out that there was some numbers that was wrong. And then the professor didn't agree with him and published the essay. The student couldn't take it anymore and committed suicide. This is quite obscure. This is such a small thing that happened, and then he couldn't take it and committed suicide. Nowadays, this all-pervading mentality is that right is right and wrong is wrong. There is a clear line, clear boundary between it. People tend to take it that I am completely right and you're completely wrong, and would push and would complain to the others. But when others cannot fulfill whatever you need, you would feel that you would feel completely despair and disappointed, and some university students who adopt such kind of mentality very easily would commit suicide. The insecurity that is pervading this society. On one hand, how people work with that is to then rely upon their companion, their wealth, and their family. Just as some people feel that if I have money, then I have no problem. And another group of people may feel that if I have someone to rely upon, if I have a good companion, then I would have no problem at all. In fact, with or without such kind of object of refuge is not reliable. The most reliable refuge place is the Three Jewels. We should know why it is that the Three Jewels are the most reliant refuge place. We should know the blessings and strengths of Three Jewels. So, Three Jewels. What does it mean? I think once you take refuge in the Three Jewels, you won't feel a great void in your heart anymore. You won't feel so lonely anymore. And I'm not saying this because I'm wearing this red robe and I'm trying to then sell this idea. The people nowadays say that, are you trying to then exaggerate in this fact and sell it? I'm not trying to sell it. I'm not a merchant. I'm not here to sell you this idea in this red robe, but deep from my heart, I feel that people nowadays, they don't have a place that they feel safe to rely upon. They don't have security. They don't have confidence. I think if people would take Three Jewels as a refuge place, maybe at the beginning you don't see the merit of it, but slowly you will understand that, well, without the blessings of Three Jewels, I will be suffering in this world. And now because I have the blessings of Three Jewels, I have at least the Three Jewels, even if I'm feeling suffering, even if there's some problems, but at least that there's some place that I feel I can rest, and some place that I feel safe to rely upon. As in the history, the Three Jewels, the jewel of Buddha, the jewel of Buddha is the Buddha Shakyamuni, and then the jewel of Dharma is the Tripitaka and the 12 Shastras. And then the Sangha, the jewel of Sangha is the Arhats and Bodhisattvas. And from the aspect of from the deeper meaning underneath of what the jewel of Buddha is that the jewel of Buddha is the enlightened one, the jewel of enlightened one, and the jewel of Dharma is the teaching that's taught by the Buddha. and what it was.
真理呢，就是大家所谓的
The
法如果
teaching
不懂
taught
的
by
话
the
就是
Buddha
可以
was
引
the
申出来，
truth.
它叫做是真理。
So
以前西方有个科
the
学家叫
jewel
做
of
梭罗，是
Dharma
吧？
is the
就是他
truth.
说过，实
I
践
think
的这
there
个
was a
爱情也
scientist in the
好，这
West.
个名声
He
也好，
said
财富
something
也
like
好，
this.
实
I'm
际上是都比不
paraphrasing.
上真理。
He said
啊，
that
这个真理呢，
the
确实是
love
非常这
and
个
wealth and
有
fame
意义的。
in
当
this
然，这个
world
真理
are
呢，就是
nowhere to
就
compare
只有在这
to
个
the
少数人
truth
的这
in
个
this
数量。
world,
以前
and
那个伽利
truths
略
are
就是
only in
他
the
也是
hands
说
of
过
the few.
啊，这个我
Same
们
as
这个越来越
Galileo.
反攻，越来越
Galileo
反
said
对
that
的
the
思维
more
呢，其实
you
这个真理
compete
呢
or
就
the
是
more
越
you
来越在
debate,
显啊，就是显得更
you
更
will
明
be
显。
able to
所
see
以
the truth
我们
more clearly.
真正的这个佛法，真正的这个佛法是
So
什么
what
呢？就
is
是这个所
the
谓的这个
real
佛法呢，就是
Dharma?
应该是有种真
Dharma
理。
is
这
the
种
truth.
真理呢，就是跟其他的有些这个宗
And
教
this
所
kind
教
of
导的
truth
这个
are
他
a
们的
bit
这个
different
教义呢，
than
也许有不同
the
吧，
ones
也许有
that's
不同。
taught in
所以呢，
other
我
religions.
们经
Maybe
常说
they're
这个
different.
作为佛教徒的话呢，
So,
一定要这个
according
文思
to
修行啊。
So
没有
I
文
think
思
a
修行
Buddhist
呢，
should
表面上
really
就是办个什么
spend
皈
time
证啊，
in
然后就是
studying,
就刚才是
contemplating
很多
and
人我也要
practice.
取个法名，取个法名都可以。我这边有好多好多
Many
的法
people
名
ask
都
me that
啊，
I
就
want
这
to get a
这个
Dharma
是
name.
都没
That's
什么问
fine.
题
I
的，
can
因为
give you
这
Dharma name
就
as
跟大家什么什么这
it's
个什么
really
元
easy.
音、元堂、元
There
显、
are
元
the
明等等啊，就
many
是这样的
names
话
I
都
have
可以，
in
就
the
是取
cards.
法门就是很
It's
重要的
very
啊。
easy. It's not the
就
most important.
也很重
Well,
要，
it's
也不重
important
要，
and
这
not
没什么，
important.
对吧？
Well,
但是呢，更
What's
重
the
要的
most
是什么呢？
important?
就是要懂到这
The
个
most
这个佛教的
important
这
is to
个教义
understand
啊，
the
就佛教的
doctrine
教义。
of
如果佛教
the,
的教义没有懂的
the
话呢，
Buddha's teaching.
就跟我这
Without
个什么身份证、
understanding
银行
this,
卡、
then
会议证
then
什
this
么全
card
部
is
都堆
no
在一起
other
一大
than
堆
your
的话，
bank
那也没什
cards,
么
than
用。
your ID
最
cards,
根本
than
的话
your
呢，我们绝对
bus
是懂到
cards.
这个佛教的教义。所
So
以
the
这
most
个佛教的
important
教
is
义
not
呢
to，get
实际上
all
是一
of
种真
these.
理。
The
这
most
种真理
important
呢，
is
不
to
是
get
呢
the
这个无
truth
缘无
of
故
the
平白无故就
Buddhism
得到的。那通过
doctrines.
什么样的方式得到
And
呢？
you can't
就
get
是
it
说这个
just
文思修
by
行。首
relaxing
先呢，
and
应该
doing
就
nothing.
多
You
听
can
闻
only
就是这个
pursue
高僧
this
大德也
truth
好，
by
老师也好，有
studying,
经验的这个，不
studying
管是出家人、
from
在家人，就是
monastic or
有
lay
些讲的非常
practitioner,
好，有些倒是
studying from
乱
the
讲，
ones
就
who have
像我一
already
样的，就胡说八
attained
道，
some
就
kind
是
of
也有这样的。
realization.
但有
They're
些
the
是
ones
确
who
实是
didn't,
把
who
这
doesn't
个佛教
really
的
teach
真
well
正的
like
这个
me,
教
like
义啊，就是
myself,
讲的很好的。
humbly
那么这样
speaking.
的话呢，
And
比如说我们
there
这
are
个经
people
常
who
呢，就是要
speak
求大
very
家学
well.
习什么这个如菩萨行论也
The
好，
most
亲友书也
important, I
好，
would
然
suggest
后这
that
个大
you
圆满
could
前
spend
行
some
也好，
time
还有
studying
很多很多的这个先祖密宗的就是这些法呢，一定要
Bodhisattva
听闻
and。
没有
words
听
of
闻
my
的话，那
perfect
就是光
teacher
是
and
办
so
个会
on.
议证，或者是
Those
我
kind
是
of
佛教
teachings
徒啊，
are really
这样
important.
就没有
That's
什么
passed
用。
down
这
from
个
the
第一个
previous
是听闻
lineage
很重要。
masters.
然后第二个呢，
So
就是
listening is quite
就要
important.
就要
Without
进行
listening,
思维，
without
就是对
studying,
这些
how
发
could
言
you
呢，
understand
不
what
是什
Dharma
么
is?
就是老师说了
Second
就
part
对了，
is
上师说了就对了，
contemplation.
就不行的。我们每一个人通过自己的这个
Contemplation is
思考、去
extremely
研究、
important.
去
You
分
have to
析、去辩
reflect
论、去
upon
探
all
讨
of these teachings
我
that
都
you
有时候
studied
我
before.
们晚上这边这
You
个
can't
或者
just
是白天
agree
呢，就是有一些
blindly.
年轻人呢，就是他们都开始在学习这个佛法的过程当中辩论的很激
In
烈啊，
over
就是辩
here,
论
there
我有
are
时候
lots of
偷
people
听
who
的
would
时候呢，就是有
debate
些辩论
very
的特别好，就是还是
vigorously,
因为在年轻时候
especially
你
the young
所有的
ones.
这些智慧全部就是
Lots
这
of them
个
did a
来
great
这个
job
互相
in
探讨的，这
debating.
是一个非常幸福
In
的事
fact,
情。
when
也许
you're
这些
still
人
young, when
以
you're
后
still
这个
energetic,
在自己
and
不
you
同
still
的
have
这
the
个地方活化
opportunity
弥
to
散的
study
时
the
候，就
Dharma
感觉是这样
and you
的。
debate
年轻时
about
候
the
的这个
truth,
文思是
that's
非常
such a
非常有
wonderful
意义的，
thing.
这叫做思维。这种思维呢，
So
其他有些教育是
debating
不同的，
and
就是其他
constantly
有些教育的哦，
reflecting
你
upon
相
the
信
teaching,
就可以了，
this
别什么
is
就是
called
什么。我们不是这样
contemplation.
的，释迦牟尼佛就说
This
是
is
你
very
如果
different
有
some other religions, because lots of other religions, they would say that all you need to do is just to believe it and make supplication and pray. But in Buddhism, we say that you need to debate, you need to ask questions, you need to then ask questions. So after that, what do? After you ask all the questions, all your questions are then withered away because you've finally honed your wisdom, at the end you would practice. As the Buddha said, that it is quite important to then give up all the evil actions, to practice all virtuous actions, and to purify one's mind. That's what the Buddha taught. So you have to practice. You have to practice against your habitual patterns. The habitual pattern of the three poisons: the greed, the anger, doubt, ignorance, and arrogance. All of these kind of habitual patterns that we need to work against of that grain. And slowly, when you could work in such a way, you would change your mentality and your mind, your whole being would transform because of such practice. People who practice, when they encounter difficulty, when they encounter difficult problems in their life, when when their relatives die in their family, or when they get bankrupt, maybe they were really rich at the beginning and then get bankrupt out of the blue, and then they feel that there was nowhere to go. When they feel that they're completely in despair. For practitioners facing such situations, yes, they feel that they are difficult to deal with, but they have the ability to, they have the capacity to work with it. Or to say at least they won't then take all of those problems to an extreme mentally. Because if you encounter problems externally, and then you have some mental problem because of those, I really feel that Buddhism is really helpful. I'm not even talking about how Buddhism could help you in your future lives. Just in this lifetime, Buddhism has such great power to help you to deal with all the obstacles and problems in this lifetime. And this is something that you have to practice and experience it for yourself. So, Dharma has such kind of teaching, has such kind of power to help you to deal with all of these unexpected obstacles in this lifetime. So that's the Dharma. And then there are the Sangha. The Sangha are those of the people who are the companions on the path, that then who are striving for the truth just as you are. There's another way of explaining it. That's a deeper one. On that level, it is said that the jewel of the Buddha is the self-awareness, and then the jewel of the Dharma is the primordial awareness, and jewel of the Dharma is primordial wisdom, and jewel of the Sangha is primordial purity. In Padmasambhava's teaching that's collected in the Dakini teachings, it said that there are 8 kinds of merits. The first one is that after you take refuge in the 3 jewels, you are then called a Buddhist. After you take refuge, then you are a genuine Buddhist. Then you can be called a Buddhist. As Atisha said, whether you're a Buddhist, it has to be differentiated by whether you took the refuge vow. Whether you're a Mahayana practitioner, it is important to differentiate whether you've taken the Mahayana aspiration. So the second aspect of the merit is that after taking refuge, then you have the causes to become a suitable basis for all types of vows. Pratimoksha vow, the Mahayana vow, the Bodhisattva vow, and lay practitioner's vow, and Samaya vow, and so on. The third one is says that when a genuine feeling of taking refuge has arisen, karmic obscurations are utterly brought to an end. So taking refuge is a great way to then make great confessions. The next one says that you will possess vast merit. The mundane merits of long life. even for those of people who didn't start with good health. And then splendor and majestic dignity or even beautiful looks. There are people who didn't start off with a good look, but after practicing the Dharma, their appearance in this lifetime and next lifetime will be more pleasant. So, I think, well, I don't know if you have the similar feeling, but my personal feeling is that if you could supplicate and pray to the three jewels, if you could chant some of the sutras and the mantras, if you could practice meditation and practice abiding, then lots of obstacles, lots of problems just naturally get eased. Lots of merits would naturally then increase. In fact, many patients, after they take refuge, they then get healthier. There are people who then have court suits and have lots of difficulties with the family, lots of quarrels among the family members, and after they all take refuge, then they stop fighting with one another. There's no more fighting and no more quarreling anymore. In fact, lots of your mental instabilities or inequalities can be then pacified by taking refuge, and then merit would arise and everything would get more smooth with your mundane life. And the fifth one is that you will be immune to attack by humans and non-humans, and immune to the obstacles of this life. When I talk about non-human, there are people who could feel that, well, this is very superstitious. In fact, the kind of people who said that Buddhism is superstitious whenever they encounter difficulties and whenever they encounter bad health or even nightmares, they would go and supplicate to the bodhisattvas or the three jewels. When there are different kind of obstacles arise, in fact, when people could chant the name and chant the refuge vow of taking refuge in the three jewels, then all the non-humans, all the ghosts and all the demons would run away. And when you are walking in the dark, what you could do is just kind of glaring around and to chant that Lama Kyapsum Chu, which is taking refuge to the Lama, and then taking refuge to the Dharma, the Buddha and the Dharma and the Sangha and so on. When I went to my hometown the other day, the road was really bad. It was terrible road condition, and then the driver was not so skillful either, and there was a lama sitting at the back of the seat, and the driver was. And then the Lama was chanting, taking refuge through the three jewels because he was scared, and the driver got even more nervous and started turning the wheels left and right. When we finally arrived somewhere that's rather flat, everyone felt much more relaxed and felt more at peace. Anyhow, by chanting and by taking refuge in the three vows, you'll be able to then get immune to attacks by human and non-humans. So the sixth one talks about when genuine taking refuge has arisen in your being, it is impossible not to accomplish whatever you intend. Usually, in this lifetime, what we encounter, the kind of suffering that we encounter is that whatever we love would often depart from us, and whatever we really avert to would get close to us. But after taking refuge, then you'll be able to get closer to whatever you want and get further away from what you don't want. So after taking refuge, the merit of in this lifetime and in this mundane life, mundane worldly life, as well as transcendent life, you'll be able to fulfill your wishes just through practice of the just through taking refuge vows. The next one is that you will not fall into evil the destinations or perverted path, or the three lower realms. There are people who've practiced lots of non-virtuous deeds, but at the moment of death, even if you can just take refuge at the moment of death, then you won't fall into the three lower realms. This is the Vajra, or the indestructible, the truthful words told by the Buddha. The next one said that which is the eighth one, it says that through the final benefit is that the thrift attaining of true and complete enlightenment, the 5 stages and 10 bhumis. So through such kind of practice and such kind of method, I really think for those of you who have mind and heart, you would know the merit of taking refuge and would know the importance of taking notes. Phuntsog Rinpoche's video of the teaching that we watched the other day, the peace instruction of my heart, where Phuntsog Rinpoche gives the refuge vow. Why it is called the sacred peace instruction of my heart? Lots of practitioners, in fact, they pursue the high teachings from the very beginning. In fact, that's really not wise. What you need to do is to follow the practice, follow the step. That is, then take refuge, then give rise to the mind of renunciation, and then generate the wisdom of non-duality, and then the practice of generation and practice and perfection stage, and then the Mahayati. Many schools in the West, they practice Mahayati every day. They would ask the students to practice Ati every day, and when I asked them about some very basic understanding of Buddhism, they had no idea, at least they don't have that much of an understanding of it. Nowadays, the young people, they don't really want to worship idol, but to take refuge to the Dharma is to take refuge to the Dharma that is the truth. And to take refuge to the Sangha is to take refuge to the accomplished and realized masters, including Bodhisattvas, There are people who read some news about some negative news about the monastics. They would lose faith in taking refuge in the Sangha. And I think that's probably because of the tendency of easily to receive the negative information than the positive. Anyhow, to take refuge in the Buddha is to take refuge to the one who's already realized the truth. To take refuge of the Dharma is to take refuge of the truth, and to take refuge of the Sangha is to then take refuge of the ones who are also treading on the path of pursuing the truth. In that way, you can see we're in fact not the ones who are very superstitious or foolish. In fact, we can be called the ones who've already embodied the great wisdom to tread on this path. This is the path that's tread by the ones with great wisdom. From the academic point of view, from the mundane point of view, we should then understand from such aspect. For the Buddhists who have great faith, you can then understand taking refuge just as taking refuge in the Buddha Shakyamuni, to the Dharma, the teachings that taught by the taught by
就
Buddha
是背
Shakyamuni,
的
and
就
the
特别多
Sangha,
的，就是
the
这一
all
方
the
面可能
Sangha
没有信仰的
members
人
over
看
here
起
are
来啊，这个
the
人就是好痛
realized
苦啊，
ones.
就拿了好多佛像
I
佛
see
吧，
that
但
there are
实际
people
上呢，
who have
自己
great
还是
faith.
有
They
一
carry
种内
lots of
心的这个
rupas or the
就
statues
真
of
正的这个佛
the
像的这
Buddha
个功
or
德那么
the
大，法宝的
different
功德
kinds
那么
of
大，然后这个
bodhisattvas
我们
and
有了
lots
这
of
样的这种
textbooks.
比如说
People
有开
who
光的
do
一个
not
价
have
值的，
any
然后
faith,
自己呢
then
就是也是
they
特别喜欢就是这
feel
样的
this
佛
is
像
so
的话
strange.
呢，
Why are you
那
carrying so much
你
stuff?
你这
And
个拉到自己的
in
佛
fact,
堂，
I
拉到
think
自
this
己
is
的
quite
这个
good.
单
It
位里
shows
面，
that
就
you
是
have
经常
faith.
就是去拜啊，去跪呀，这样的话呢，其
You
实
can then
间接来讲的话呢，
also
我们的这个精神就是充实了很多啊，就
place
是
a
并
Buddha
不是是
statue
我
or
们现在有
have
些人所讲
Dharma
的啊，这个
textbooks
人
with
很
you.
信
You
啊，很
can then
密啊，就是
chant
就不是
during
这
your
样。
spare
应该从
time
某种
to
意义上，
worship
人
or
就
to
是除了物
supplicate
质
at
以
your
外呢，
spare
就是还有
time
一
to
个精神的
chant
这个层面。
mantras
这个
and
精神
so
的层
on.
面如果完全
From
空
other
了的话
people's
呢，那物质再
aspect,
多，就是对
from
你
your
来讲可
own
能
point
是
of
真
view,
的
in
是很
fact,
空虚
you
的。
are
我
no
们经
longer
常看到
void
是
in
特
your
别有
spirit,
钱的
in
人，
your
特别
spirit,
有
in
这
your
个福
mind
报的人。
anymore.
可是呢，就是很多人的怎么样，就是他精神
There
上
are
特别
people who have
无聊、
lots of
痛苦
money,
啊，就
but
无奈，就是
they have so
晚
much
上每天都
void
是
in
就是
their
吃
heart.
安眠药啊，
They
就
have
这。我们
lots
表面
of
上看到为什么
anxiety.
就是他
They have
他住
lots
的
of
那么好，
things
就
that
是
they
就
worry
是为什么
about.
这样？就是其实也并不是这
Even
样。所以我
if
们
they
在这个
live in
世
great
界当中
mansion,
的话呢，有时候是
they have
确实很
insomnia.
需要这个真理。这种真理呢，就是与
So
三宝有关的真理
taking
呢，
refuge
我
is
觉
to
得是
take
就
refuge
非常有意义
in
的。那么这
the
样的话
three
呢，就是
jewels
今天我们
and
先
to study the
看一下这
truth
个方
and
文维宝
to
这个
then
南天的
fulfill
这
your
个我们的这个
spirituality.
短视频里面
So
的
now
这
let's
个
watch a
大
short
这个
clip by Ponsogon
这个
Rinpoche
片段吧，就
when
是
he was
稍微看
giving
一下，我也
refuge vow,
会
and I can drink some water.
Lama kyapsum chogo,
Lama la gyapsu chiwo,
Sanki kyapsum chogo,
Sangye la gyapsu chiwo,
Shula kyapsum chogo,
Chu la gyapsu chiwo,
Gendon kyapsum chogo,
Genden la gyapsu chiwo,
Lama kyapsum chogo,
Lama la gyapsu chiwo,
Sanki kyapsum chogo,
Sangye la gyapsu chiwo,
Shula kyapsum chogo,
Chu la gyapsu chiwo,
Gendon kyapsum chogo,
Genden la gyapsu chiwo,
Lama kyapsum chogo,
Lama la gyapsu chiwo,
Sanki kyapsum chogo,
Sangye la gyapsu chiwo,
Shula kyapsum chogo,
Chu la gyapsu chiwo,
Gendon kyapsum chogo.
Genden la gyapsu chiwo. Now all of you have received the refuge vows. From this moment onward, you may call yourself a Buddhist.
Now, I know some of you also want to take refuge vow, so I'm going to give you the refuge vow again as well. Mainly for those of you who want to take refuge vow because you want to gain the merit to enjoy the humanly and godly or celestial enjoyments, and then that is taking refuge of the lower capacity. And for those of you who want to then gain personal liberation from the samsara, then this is called the taking refuge of the capacity of the medium. And for those of you who want to then take this refuge for all the sentient beings, to get liberated, be liberated from samsara, this is a high refuge. Repeat after me. Ponsogon Rinpoche, in the video, he said that from now onwards you've already received the the vow of refuge, and from today onwards you are already a true Buddhist. Therefore, from today, the ones who are present, the ones who are online, you are already a genuine Buddhist. For those of you who never received a Buddhist name, what you can do is then you can add a yuan in front of it, which means perfect. And then you can pick a name for yourself, whatever you want to name yourself. That will be your Dharma name. So this is refuge, taking refuge. We've talked about the merit of taking refuge. And recently we've been chanting the name of Kshitigarbha. The name is Mahasattva Kshitigarbha. You probably listen to it every day. Sometimes the speaker is really loud. But anyhow, those were the chantings of the name of Kshitigarbha. I really think it is quite important to chant the name because Kshitigarbha fulfills all the wishes of the sentient beings, especially for the ones who are poor, then he will grant you with wealth. For the ones who have lots of afflictions in your mind, he will then grant you blessings so that you'll be such suffering and afflictions will be pacified. In the four Dharma assemblies in Larungar, this is one of the particular chanting or Dharma assembly that's hosted in Larungar. I think back in 1997, Ponzo Rinpoche went to Yunnan or Guilin, somewhere south in China. Ponzo Rinpoche over there chanted this. Someone then offered a jewel, and he said this is a jewel from the Naga's palace. But at that time, maybe because Ponzo Rinpoche, out of the cause and out of auspicious cause and conditions, he wanted to create such auspicious cause, he was then manifesting in such a way that he was very pleased, and then he started chanting the name of Kshitigarbha. I think the video was 3 minutes, therefore I will play that, and then after that I will give a short teaching after that too.
不知道3天吧。
And at the end, something really short. Today, the refuge vow that you received is extremely important. According to the words of my perfect teacher, it stated that Atisha, when he first came to Tibet, he gave refuge vow and taught refuge vow. And the Tibetan people said that, well, you're such a famous Bhantita, then why are you teaching such a simple teaching such as refuge vow? This is not good, because everyone started calling you the refuge Bhantita. And upon hearing this, Atisha at that time said, in a great pleasure, said that was wonderful, because without understanding refuge, without understanding taking refuge, how could anyone build on top of Buddhism or study or tread on the path of Buddhism at all? Therefore, this is the biggest compliment to me to call me refuge Bhantita. So, my hope to you today is for you to make an aspiration of saying that you are going to then be a Buddhist for this lifetime, for all lifetimes. In fact, this is not difficult. It's just as saying that I want to be a good person. This is not difficult for this lifetime. Till the time you die, you make such vow that you will be a firm and unchanging Buddhist. And whenever you see any of the holy sites, make aspirations, make supplication. In fact, our mind is very different. Is very important. If you want to have a firm and steady faith, this is quite important, especially nowadays. There are so many changes in the big cities, and it could really transform. It could really change you from time to time. But from today, even if one person gives rise to such firm faith and such firm aspiration and vow, then I think my class was worth it. In fact, taking refuge vow, it's a vow. It's making a promise. Do not give up this promise. Do not give up your vow. And continuously to develop such firm faith. So that's the first aspect I want to say. A second faith is that the second point is that we do not have the power like Atisha to give refuge vows. However, I really hope you can then spread the
正能量，
positive
就是真正
energy
的这样的
that
这个
you've
三
learned
这个
from
三宝的话呢，
Buddhism
让大家
that
会
you've
确
gained
实
from the
对
three
就
jewels.
对他们还是亲身来说是
Because
非常有
such
意义
positive
的，因为
energy
能会
is
当中的
extremely
痛苦是
important
很
for
痛苦的，如果没有
decision
会
beings
牺牲
in
当
this
中离开
lifetime
人
and
间的话呢，
next.
非常可惜。所以呢，大家还是应该尽
Lots
量
of
就是
people
有
are
责任感，有责任
having
心，
so
什
much
么
afflictions
就是
and
哪怕是
sufferings
一个
in
人
their
在自己的
lifetime.
一辈子当中，如果
Therefore,
劝
I
一个
think it's
人
quite
皈依三宝的
important
话
to
呢，
have
我
such
觉得这个功德是不可思议的，
responsibility,
就是
such
这
a
是
mind of
我的这个
responsibility to
第二
spread
个
such kind of
这个希
positive
望也好，
energy to
然后
others.
第三个希望
That's
的
my
话呢
second hope
就
to
是
you.
我
And
们
the
这
third
个
hope
多
is
看一
that
些就是关于这个就是三宝
to
方面的
read
啊，就
more
像包信人那样
into
的，就是
the
讲比较深的道理，或
profound
者是其他的，
teachings
包
of
括
the
莲花生
three
的一些
jewels,
这
such as
个
Uttara
教化
Tantra
这个
Shastra,
这些就空
such
性教法里面
as
呢，有
the
很多皈依
teachings
三宝的
given
这
by
个
Pama
特别
Sambhava,
详细的
where
抄
he
据，
gave lots
希
of
望呢
pithy
就是大家
instructions
用
about what
通
three
过这种
jewels
方式
and
来就是
how
应该
to
就
take
是了
refuge
解
vow
就是
and
皈
so
依三
on,
宝
the
的
meaning
真
of
实
it.
的这个功德，这样以后
And
呢
then
啊
you
就
will
自他
be
的
able
这个
to
获得
have
真正的这种
to
快乐
accumulate
好
great
我们
merits.
今天呢就是讲
And
到这
today
里。
we'll stop here.